Hey guys, hello. How's it going? Do me a favor and introduce yourself in the chat. So, a couple people have already done this. Just tell me your name, your city, and your profession. So, for example, who did this? Sarah, you work at your analytical intel 1871. You live in Chicago. Cool. Wade is a Los Angeles producer. Evelyn, Houston, unemployed. Nicholas, New York teacher. So yeah, just introduce yourself into the chat. We have this weird kind of setup where you guys can see me, but I can't see you. So it's really helpful if I know who I'm talking to. We're gonna make this a really interactive workshop. In fact, before we're done, I'm actually gonna get on the phone live with some of you guys and talk through some of your business ideas. So keep introducing yourselves so I know who I'm talking to. Cool. Okay, Derek, Atlanta, human resource specialist, aspiring entrepreneur. Cool. Derek is Miami. Derek, what do you do professionally? Awesome. Shay, am I saying your name right? Shay, Shei. By the way, if I say anyone's name wrong, please correct me. Like, it's super important to me to say names correctly. So let me know if I'm saying your name wrong. Just like spell it out for me. Cool. All right. A couple things that you guys can help me with. I'm going to share my screen in a minute. I put together a really awesome presentation for you guys. But a couple things I need your help with. If for any reason you are not able to hear me or like the connection cuts out for some reason, there's a button up top that says reconnect, or you can refresh your browser. So do that if for any reason we have technical issues. And if other people are not sure what to do, let them know in the chat that they can just refresh and it usually kicks right back in. Cool? Okay. Let me share my screen. Hey, Marie, designer. Let me share my screen and let me know when you can see my screen full screen. I put together a really awesome presentation for you guys. It usually takes a second to get loaded full screen. Michael says, I see you. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys can see me. You guys can see and hear me. Cool. Let me know when you can see my screen as well, my screen full screen. Cool. Shamiko is in Baltimore, content creator. Cool. Crystal is in Tampa, Florida, electrical meter tech. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Okay. You guys can see my screen? Yes. Yes. Okay, cool. It's working. All right. So obviously we're here today to talk about this crazy concept of how to build an app without code and make money from it. Not just build an app that doesn't make you money and it's just cool, but build an app without code and make money from it. Those two things go hand in hand. Otherwise, we got some trouble. So it's really important for me to make sure that those things are going together for you guys. Building your app, but also making money from it. So I get to work with a ton of different types of entrepreneurs. I actually have an entrepreneur training program that I do. And I want to tell you a little bit about the kinds of entrepreneurs that I often get a chance to work with. And what I want to do is if you hear a keyword or hear one of these types of entrepreneurs that represents you, I want you to type the keyword in the chat. For example, type the word experienced into the chat if this is you. A lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with are super experienced in a particular industry. It doesn't have to be tech necessarily, but they know a particular industry really well. Type the word experience into the chat if this is you. So it could be massage therapy. It could be, and if this is you, tell me what kind of expertise you have. That'll be helpful too. But it could be massage therapy. It could be content creation. It could be being an electrical engineer. It could be whatever, but you've got this specific industry knowledge. Those are a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with, and they see a clear gap in their industry where technology can solve for a huge thing that like nobody's solving for, right? So type experience into the chat if that's you. The other kind of entrepreneur that I work with, type ambitious into the chat if this is you. This is the super ambitious entrepreneur. And for these folks, they're like, Tara, I have like 5 different app ideas. I'm trying to figure out which one to do first, right? Type ambitious into the chat if that's you. Or the other way that this shows up, the super ambitious entrepreneur, is this person's like, hey, Tara, I have one idea and I'm like laser focused on that one thing. So type ambitious into the chat if that's you. Okay, got it. I've got some ambitious also, a couple of people who are more than one of these. All right. And the third group of entrepreneurs that I often work with, they've already run a small business before. Type small business into the chat if this is you. This is not your first time at the rodeo with entrepreneurship. Maybe it's your first time thinking about an app or thinking about the online part of the business, but this is not your first time at the rodeo with a business. Type small business into the chat if that's you. Cool, got it. Amber says I'm laser focused. Got it. Cool. So for a lot of you guys, you're wondering, some of the same things. And the reason I know this is because these were the things I was wondering when I was getting started. So I was asking things like, oh my gosh, I see all these people getting in on this tech startup stuff. How do I get in on this tech startup stuff? Or how do I test my startup idea without spending a crap ton of money that I don't necessarily have? Or what if I don't have $10,000, $20,000 to hire someone to build my app idea for me? I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go and you hire someone to build your app for you, usually the average price they're going to charge you is about $20,000. So what if you don't have that, right? Or what if you don't want to outsource your app idea to some stranger who might just steal the idea? Or how do you know if this app idea is going to be a good use of your time in the first place, right? Like these are all the questions that I know a lot of you guys are wondering. These were a lot of the questions I was wondering when I was getting started and thinking about building an app and technology. And finding the answer to these questions for a lot of you guys is super important because you have an idea that you cannot stop thinking about. So you're literally like every day at work, like, oh my gosh, what if I use technology to build this? What kind of money could I make? What kind of impact could I have, right? Like these are the things that you just can't stop thinking about this idea. Wade's at 100%, right? And for some of you or others of you, figuring out all the keys to this whole startup stuff is super important to you because you're on the hamster wheel at work. This was me as well when I started. So I was like, how do I get to the next level of my career? Because really, like, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just doing this on the hamster wheel. And when am I gonna get a chance to live the kind of life I actually want to live, right? A lot of you guys are on the hamster wheel at work. I get it. I've been there. But for a lot of you guys, figuring out the answers to all this is super important because of that. And for other of you, figuring out the answers to all this stuff is super important because you don't know how to create a profitable app. I saw actually a couple folks here who were in the chat who have experience with technology. And so maybe you've built a website before, maybe you've even built an app before, but you're not sure how to create a profitable app, right? And some of you guys are in the other boat where you're like, okay, the business part, I'm not super stressed out about the business part, but I have no idea how to create an app in the first freaking place, right? So you're like, do I have to hire someone? Do I need a co-founder? Where the heck do I even start? So I want to share with you guys what happened to me. Because in 2014, I had an idea for an app. I remember I came up with the idea on a Monday. And by Thursday, so a couple days later, I had launched this really ugly website. You can see a screenshot of it. It says, become an art collector, get a personal stylist for your walls. And if you squint really hard, it says, hey, Gary, my name is Emily, and I'm your new art advisor. I found a few pieces of art for your living room. Check them out here, right? So I wanted to help people find affordable artwork for their homes. This was in 2014. And in the first year of launching that company, launching that startup and that app, I had thousands of customers who were using something that I had built. Imagine what it would be like for you to have thousands of people, tens of thousands of people using something that you created. Also, in that first year of running that startup, I generated over $150,000 in revenue. And I got my first $300,000 investment from investors who said, here's some money. We really like what you're doing, and we want to see you continue to do that. We want to be part of this, right? So in that first year of launching my app, launching my company, I took some really specific strategic steps in that first year. And what we're going to be talking about today, I like to be super transparent about what we're going to talk about today in this workshop. So what we're going to talk about today is what exactly happened in that year, right? Those specific strategic steps, what were those so that you can put those into play for your own idea and your own business. Cool? So I want to introduce myself really quickly before we dive into the depths of this, because some of you guys don't know me. We've never met before. Some of you guys I do know, but some of you guys it's our first time meeting. So you might be wondering, who the heck is this lady who I'm talking to? So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Tara Reed, and I'm a tech entrepreneur. Before becoming an entrepreneur, I led marketing initiatives at Google, Foursquare, and Microsoft. So my background was in tech, But I was a marketer. I worked on the business side of the business. I was not building the apps at those tech companies or building the technology at those tech companies. I was working on the business side. And in 2014, I founded one of the most successful art startups in the US, and I built that company's app and algorithm without writing any code. And so since then, I've helped launch over 150 apps and tech startups. I've been really blessed to be featured in Entrepreneur Magazine's Young Millionaires edition. Forbes has written really fun articles on how to succeed in Silicon Valley when you don't look like Mark Zuckerberg. I've also done a really fun TED Talk on building apps without code that has over 200,000 views. And since doing all that stuff, I started coaching other entrepreneurs. I got a lot of people emailing me and saying, hey, Tara, I'm really interested in what you're doing and how you're creating all this wealth for yourself and launching apps and technology businesses. Can you help us? Right? And so I worked with this guy named Josh. I'll tell you a little bit more about him in a moment. But Josh built an app and he licensed it to an entire school district. So there are 23 schools who are using his app. He built an app in the education space. And I worked with another guy named Patrick who built an app, and his first paying customer was Coca-Cola. So I started coaching other entrepreneurs, and I helped other entrepreneurs generate over $1 million in app launch revenue. So what we're going to talk about today, like what's happening in this workshop this evening, is how the heck did I go from working a 9-to-5 job to running $1 million tech empire? Like what happened in between and how did that go? That's what we're going to talk about today. Cool? All right. Are you guys ready for me to break this down? Let me know in the chat if you are ready. We're going to talk about how to build an app without code and make money from it. Let me know in the chat if you're ready. Amber says incredible. Willie says, great. Oh, yeah. Summer says, this is awesome. So excited what you're doing. Thank you, Summer. Let me know in the chat if you guys are ready for me to break this down. Okay. How to build an app without code and make money from it. Cool. Who says, show me the money, sister? I love that. Steven, got it. Adrienne says, wow, ready. Hell yeah, Devon says. Got it. Cool. Okay, let's do this. How to build an app without code and make money from it. All those things. Born ready. Got it. So here's an overview of what you're going to learn today. Secret number 1, you can create an app in just a few weeks by blank. I'm going to fill in that blank for you. Secret number 2, the very first thing you should do is create a blank. I'm going to fill in that blank for you as well. This is kind of like, have you ever played that game Mad Libs where you fill in all the blanks? We're kind of playing this game here. And then secret number 3, because a lot of you guys have already been emailing me leading up to this workshop asking me about this. We're going to talk about how to work with me to get more help launching your startup and app idea. Cool? Awesome. All right. So let's jump right into this. Secret number 1, you can create an app in just a few days by using code-free tools that use logic. Code-free tools that use logic. Let me break that down for you so you know what I'm talking about. So most people think when they have an idea for an app or an idea for a company, they think that the first thing they need to do is hire an expensive agency to help them build the first version, right? Let me know in the chat if that's what you thought the first thing was that you need to do. Find an agency to build this thing for you, right? A couple people mentioned to me that they've already done this. They've already talked to companies and they've given them quotes saying, if we build our app for you, this is what it's going to cost, right? On average, I find that most of the entrepreneurs I talk to, they get quoted about $20,000 to build for somebody else to build their app for you. Yeah, got it. A couple of people were saying, yes, this is what I thought. Absolutely. Let me know if anyone in the chat got a quote or somebody told you how much it would cost. Like, how much did they say? Just curious. Yeah, got it. So this is what a lot of people think, right? And the challenge is that it's expensive. Like, not all of us have $20,000 laying around. The other thing that most people think is that they need to find a super tech-savvy business partner before they start. So they're like rummaging through their LinkedIn. They're like begging all their friends, trying to find all this information, right? And a lot of people think that they need to find their tech-savvy business partner before they can get started. Let me know in the chat if this is what you guys experience. Okay, Shay said I was told $30,000. Somebody else said 5 to 6K. I was told 50K for a prototype. Yeah, absolutely. The prices range based on what you're trying to do. Yeah. Okay. Also, a lot of other people think when they come up with the idea, they're like, oh, I know what I have to do. I have to teach myself the basics of how to code in order to get started, right? Let me know in the chat if that's what your plan was or that's what you thought you needed to do. You know, the challenge with that is that it takes over a year for you to get proficient enough in code so that you can build your own app. And we ain't got that kind of time. A year is a long time. And like somebody else could have like gone off and done something else by then and taken that idea or, you know, done some version of it. Summer says, you guys are sharing the quotes that you guys got for people building your apps for you. See, 20K between 67 and 75K. Yeah, no, that's normal for what folks see. Got it. So we don't have a year and we don't have like all this piles of money to pay somebody else to build it. And so what happens is like because a lot of people hit these roadblocks I just mentioned to you, they end up completely putting their app idea on the back burner. And they're like, this isn't possible because I'm not a tech person. Like, I'm just never going to launch the thing, right? And they end up holding on to their idea for months and years. So actually, you don't have to do any of those things that I just mentioned. You can create apps by using code-free software. What do I mean by code-free software? So code-free software, code-free tools let you design apps by dragging and dropping, just like you would design a PowerPoint presentation where you point, click, drag, drop, and put everything you want onto the page, right? So you design apps by dragging and dropping, and then you logically tell the app what to do in English, not in some other language that you have to learn, but in English, which you already know, right? So I mentioned you design by point, click, drag, drop. You put all the things that you want on the page, and then you logically tell the app what to do in English. So the logic statement is the thing that tells the app what to do. The logic statement tells the app what to do. Let me give you an example of a logic statement that you already know and understand, right? If I push the first domino, then the other dominoes will fall, right? There's nothing confusing about this sentence. If I push the first domino, then the other dominoes will fall. If this, then that. Really simple. Let me give you another example. If the user clicks the button, then log them in, right? If this, then that. This is a very simple sentence. There's nothing confusing about this sentence, right? So my tip for you is to find logic-based software that you can use for your app. I'm getting ready to show you a bunch of logic-based softwares you can use. You don't have to use all of them. You should not use all of them. Your job is to choose the best one or two based on what you personally are trying to create, based on your personal app idea. Got it? So let me kind of walk you through a couple logic-based softwares that you can use to create your app. I'm going to start you with some kind of more beginning ones, and then we'll get fancier and more advanced as we go along. Cool? All right. So the first tool I want to show you is Wix. Now, most people know about Wix because they know about building websites. You can use Wix to create a website. However, many people don't know that you can use Wix to create an app as well. So with your app, you can have a portal where people can log in. What you see on the screen is somebody who's created this flight booking system. So you can put on information about when you want your flight and you prefer a window seat and choose your flight and it books it for you. Create a flight booking app. You can create this place where people can log in with their username and password and access their app with their username and password. You can create Yelp-like rating and review systems. You can create whatever you want and have these login portals for your customers to access. So Wix allows you to have these login portals for your customers. AppSheet is another tool that's really cool for building apps. AppSheet allows you to take a spreadsheet of information and turn it instantly into an app. So you can put, images, all sorts of images on the page. You can have places for people to enter data. You can plot things onto a map. You can have people sign for things or type things in. You can show different things on graphs, all sorts of stuff like that. So AppSheet is a tool that allows you to take a spreadsheet and turn it instantly into an app. Mighty Networks is another really cool tool. Mighty Networks allows you to create your own social network app. So everybody has their own profile and people can follow each other, and there's a feed of information where people can post different things and like each other's posts. There's separate kind of conversation threads in different rooms and themes. People can poll each other, all sorts of things. And you get your own app that goes on the iOS or Android store, and also be used online. So Mighty Networks allows you to create your own social network app. Share Tribe allows you to create a marketplace app. Now, what is a marketplace app? A marketplace app is an app where people buy and sell things from each other. So think like Airbnb, right? Where you are like buying and selling something or renting something from somewhere else, right? You can actually see in the corner on the left side, kind of what this looks like when you're done. You've got all these different listings and people can buy and sell and rent from each other and book things from each other. So Share Tribe allows you to create a marketplace where people can buy and sell from each other. Summer says, I have my site on Wix and I didn't know that I could have an app. Yeah, absolutely. You can have a login system for people. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Motion AI allows you to create artificial intelligence chatbots without writing any code. Stencil allows you to create video games without writing any code. And you can take those video games and put them on iPhone or Android, Windows. They can be on desktop. They can be on the web, etc. And again, all these tools that I'm showing you require no coding at all. So here's an example of a app that was, or video game that was created without writing any code using that tool I just showed you, Stencil. And then there's some more advanced tools that you can use for building apps without code. Now, some of the previous tools that I showed you, they're a little bit more templated. And I didn't give you an exhaustive list. I didn't want to overwhelm you with all of the options, but I wanted to show you some of the core ones. And the ones that I showed you before are a little bit more templated. So these advanced ones give you a completely blank canvas. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, right? These advanced tools give you a completely blank canvas. My favorite tool for doing that is called Bubble. So Bubble allows you to design a software by dragging, dropping, pointing, clicking, just like you would design a PowerPoint kind of thing. And then you logically tell the app what to do in English. So for example, this is what the logic part of it looks like. This is the part that replaces the code. Now you'll notice that all of this page is in English. There's no coding language that we need to know. So it says things like, when the page is loaded, then do something. Or when the page is loaded and the user is not logged in, then show them the pop-up that tells them to log in, right? And this is all written in plain English. So if you can think through the logic that you want the app to do, we can very easily tell the app what to do. Now, I want to give you an example. This is one of my favorite examples to show of an app that was created with one of those more advanced tools called Bubble. And the app that I'm going to show you is called Not Real Twitter. NotRealTwitter.com is the name of the example that I was showing you. Jay says, wow, I'm amazed. Amber says, I love this software. Oh, awesome. So this example I'm showing you is called Not Real Twitter. I want to read to you guys the introduction on Not Real Twitter because it says something really interesting about what is now possible for people like you and me who have really great ideas for companies and for startups and for apps but don't know how to code. Let me read to you the introduction of Not Real Twitter. It says, welcome to Not Real Twitter. Just like Twitter, but worse. A lot worse. The purpose of this site isn't to steal Twitter's business or to give people a chance at a fresh social media start. It is to show the future of software development. Because in 2025, most software won't be made by coders, but instead by people from diverse backgrounds using logic. The person who built this site isn't a software engineer. He didn't use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Perl, PHP, Python, etc. In fact, he didn't write a single line of code. Enjoy Not Real Twitter, and then it closes out with a quick note to Twitter, please don't sue us. So you close out of the introduction of Not Real Twitter, and you land on the homepage of Not Real Twitter, where you can sign up for a Not Real Twitter account with your name and your email and a password and create a Twitter handle username for yourself. Or if you've already been to Not Real Twitter before, you can log back in with your username and password. And once you log in to Not Real Twitter, you are on the inside of Not Real Twitter, where you can post tweets, you can like tweets, you can retweet tweets, you can reply to tweets and start a thread of conversations underneath that tweet. You can see recommendations on who to follow based on who's posting similar content to you. You can upload a profile photo. You can see how many tweets you've done, how many people you're following, how many people are following you. You can click and see a feed of notifications of people who have been messaging you or engaging with you. You can send direct messages. Pretty much anything you can do on real Twitter, you can do on not real Twitter. And this was created in just a couple weeks by someone just like me and you who did not know how to write any code and used one of those more advanced tools that I mentioned to you like Bubble to create this. So I like to show this example to show folks that there's a range of different tools that you can use. If you don't take away anything else from this, what I want you to know is that there are a bunch of tools out there to help you do exactly what you're trying to create. You just don't know about those tools yet. If you don't take away anything else, that's what you should take away from this. Now, I like to be super transparent in saying that Bubble and some of the more advanced tools that I just showed you, they do have a learning curve, meaning that you don't sit at the computer and like build the app in 2 seconds and you're done. It does not work that way. For the more advanced tools, you do have to learn them, and it takes about 2 months to get really good at them. However, you compare 2 months to the 2 years that it takes for you to get good at coding, that's a big difference, right? 2 months versus 2 years, we can work with 2 months. I don't know about the 2 years, right? So I just like to be transparent in telling people that Bubble and the more advanced tools, they do have a learning curve, but the learning curve is way lower than anything else. Well, so that is secret number 1. You can create an app in just a few days by using code-free tools that use logic, like if this, then that. Got it? Cool. I want to show you an example of one of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with and coached. His name is Patrick Anderson. He runs a company now called OpX Apps. So Patrick was think about, I asked a lot of you guys earlier if you were subject matter experts, if you knew a particular area really well. Patrick fit into that category as well. So he knew a bunch about manufacturing, and he built an app to help manufacturing plants be more efficient. He started with just an idea. So exactly where many of you are, just an idea. Since doing bootcamp, which is the coaching program that I do, he has 6 customers. And from those customers, he's done over $75,000 in revenue. Who is his first customer? His first customer was Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola uses his app in multiple of their manufacturing plants now. And he did all of this in under a year. So he actually has 2 different apps that he uses. One is for maintenance reliability. Another one is for safety management for these manufacturing companies. And Patrick posted this in the Apps Without Code community. He said, I just want to share my first business video for my company. All of my apps have been developed on Bubble, and I created them in about 4 months. Apps Without Code helped me change my life. So I like to show that as an example of what you can do with all of this, but that is secret number 1. You can create an app in just a few days by using code-free tools that use logic. Cool? That makes sense? Awesome. There was a question in the chat. Brittany said, does the OS matter, the operating system that you use? No. So you can use the same strategy for iOS, which is the iPhone, or Android, or for something that's available on the web, for all of those things. Cool. All right. Awesome. I just showed one advanced tool. If you're going to look at advanced tools, that's the one that I recommend, Bubble. Cool. All right, let's move on. Can we move on? Is that cool? All right. So secret number 2, the very first thing you should do when you have an idea, like the very first thing you should do is create something called an invisible app. How many of you guys have heard of an invisible app before? Let me know in the chat if you've heard of an invisible app. The very first thing you should do is create an invisible app. So most people think that when they get started, the first thing that they should do is create something called an MVP. Anyone heard of an MVP before? It stands for minimum viable product. It's kind of the first version of your product that has all the features that you want, essentially, right? But actually, you should not start with this thing called an MVP. Instead, you want to start with an invisible app. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? So to illustrate this, what I want to do is I want to show you the first versions of Google, Facebook, YouTube. I think you've heard of these companies before, because they teach us something really, really important about starting small, right? Really important about starting small. So this is what the first version of Facebook looked like. Anyone remember this? Let me know in the chat if you guys remember this, what the first version of Facebook looked like. You could pretty much log in, find people at your school and poke them. That was pretty much it, right? Anyone remember this version of Facebook? One of my favorite things about this is like they had not even decided fully on the name, the logo, any of those things. There's the Facebook up top with a lowercase t and an uppercase T, like they were inconsistent, right? It's a good reminder that the first version of your thing that you build does not have to be perfect. In fact, the biggest companies, our favorite companies, do not have perfect polished sites for the first version, right? But even this is more than you need to build for the first version of your app. This is more than you need for the first version of your app. Let me give you another example. This is what the first version of Twitter looked like. Anyone remember this? I don't know if you guys know this, but when Twitter launched, it was an SMS-based text messaging service, right? I don't know if you guys knew this. It's a text message service. So you would type in what you were up to, and it would send text messages to all your friends, right? Now, mind you, these all sites were less than 5-10 years ago, right? These are not all that old, but you would type in what you're doing, it would send your text message to all of your friends, right? This is still not as many bells and whistles as you need. You don't even need something this fancy. Well, so when you think about your app ideas journey, I want you to think about it as a 5-step process. Step 1, you come up with the idea. Many of you guys have done this already, so you can like check on this. Step 1's done. You come up with an idea. Step 2, you build an invisible app. I'm going to tell you in one moment how that looks and how that works. Step 3 is you build your MVP. This is the first fancy version of your app. Then step 4, you're going to iterate because no entrepreneur anywhere in the world gets it perfectly right the first try. So you're going to iterate a bunch of times until you hit something called product market fit, which means you have the right product for the right audience. Now, this is what happens, and this is why most startups fail, is they try to jump all the way from step 1 all the way over to step 3. They either do it for one of two reasons usually. Either because they are cocky and they're like, oh, I don't need to do step 2. I'll just skip that. I don't even need that. I'm too good for that, right? They're either cocky about it or they just don't know that step 2 exists. They have no clue that step 2 exists. And what happens is they end up falling through the cracks. They try to make a huge jump and aren't able to make it because they refuse to take the linear steps in the process. Cool? So when you think about your app idea, you want to think about it as a 5-step journey. We often think that the first version of our app needs to be super fancy, but if we look at all the first versions of our favorite apps, they were not that fancy. I often tell people, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. This is a quote from Reid Hoffman. He's the co-founder of LinkedIn. He says, if you're not embarrassed of the first version of your product, then you've launched too late. I'm going to say that again so that can like sink in for you guys. If you're not embarrassed of the first version of your product, then you've launched too late. Some of y'all are already too late. You've been working on these ideas for 2 years, thinking about it for 3 years. It's already too late. So we talked about invisible apps, that second step in the process. What the heck is an invisible app? So an invisible app is an app that has no logins, no passwords, and there's nothing in the app store. And customers love them because you come to them instead of them coming to you and downloading yet another app. How many times have you guys downloaded an app and forgotten about it? Or downloaded an app and forgotten your password so you couldn't get back in? Like, I know for me, this happens all the time. I know for a lot of you guys, like, this is the experience. In 2018, the world of apps that you download on your phone is completely saturated, right? It's completely saturated. Everybody and their mama's got an app at this point, right? And finding apps, trying to dig through and find it and remember your password, all those things, figure out which app you downloaded and didn't. It's a lot for people. So instead, Harrison said quite a few times, I've done that. Yeah, it was like real problems. Absolutely. Yeah. So instead, what you do is you come to the customer. And so you deliver value via something that they already have access to, not downloading yet another app. But first you deliver value through something they already have access to, like SMS text messaging. They already got that. Or email. They already got that. URLs to simple surveys, because you can use a survey as a portal for your customers to access information, and you can send that to them. Simple pages, etc., things where they can interact, all those sorts of things. You come to them. So I want to show you an example of an invisible app to kind of drive this point home for you. So this is a site called Magic. And Magic says, upgrade your life with a 24/7 personal assistant. So here's how it works. Magic is literally just a phone number that you text. That's all it is, a phone number that you can text. And here's how it works. It says, Magic responds 24/7 within seconds to minutes. Magic will work on anything you give it as long as it's legal. Don't go crazy. Magic manages a team of trained assistants, and they improve over time by learning your preferences. So here's some examples of things you can do on Magic. You can say, oh my gosh, I'm at the airport and I completely lost my passport. Can you please go back to my apartment and get it for me? Or, oh my gosh, I'm at my kid's school and I forgot it was Halloween. Can someone bring me a Spider-Man costume by 3 p.m.? Or, I need help creating content for my blog, right? So in 2015, Magic raised $12 million, a $12 million investment from a top investor called Sequoia at a $40 million valuation. Literally, all this thing is a phone number that you can text. But customers love it because you come to them. You don't make them download yet another thing. You come to where they are, right? So what is an invisible app? Again, it's an app and an experience you create for your customers where there's no logins, no passwords, there's nothing to download in the App Store, and customers love them because you come to them. So you deliver value via SMS or emails or URLs, simple surveys, pages, interactions, etc. Cool? So that is secret number 2. The very first thing you should do is create an invisible app. The very first thing you should do is create an invisible app. This is Josh. He's another entrepreneur that I've worked with. He runs a company called EMA Music. And we talked at the beginning of the workshop about folks who was not their first time at the rodeo as an entrepreneur. So Josh came and, the other guy I told you about, he started with just an idea, but Josh started with actually an existing business. He had a brick and mortar school where he taught music classes to students after school. So they would finish school and they would come to his place and learn how to make music and play music, right? So he had this existing business. Except the problem was that all of these schools wanted to partner with him. And the problem was he and his team could only be in one place at a time. They could only go to one school at a time, right? And so he did boot camp. What he did was he built an app so that he doesn't have to be in a bunch of different places at once. He can use his app, and he licensed it to 23 different schools, an entire school district. So instead of him trying to go one-to-one to each school, he licensed his app to an entire school district. He made $30,000 doing that. He got an investment. There were people who were so interested in what he was doing. He had a $50,000 investment. He did that all in 6 months. So this is it's a grainy picture, but he has this entire app and interface for the school to have their own branding and be able to learn all these things for the students. And Josh says this app is definitely a revenue generating endeavor. I didn't know it would grow as quickly as it did. We got television and radio interviews in the process. It's been a blessing. So that is secret number 2. The very first thing you should do is create an invisible app. Cool? Does that make sense? Let me guys ask you a question. Are you guys learning stuff? Is this helpful? Let me know in the chat if this is helpful and you're learning some stuff. Let me know. Oh, cool. Amber says, I know, I can't wait to use this. Amber and Kat are having a strategy meeting. They're already ready to go. Got it. Derek was saying basically a web page. No, Derek, or Dietrich, I'm sorry, was saying basically a web page. Your invisible app will have more bells and whistles to it than just a web page. I'm happy to give some more examples. Okay, good. Amber said, absolutely. Bakir said, yes. Angelina says, this is amazing. Or Angelia says, this is amazing, very helpful. Got it. Okay, good. I'm so glad that this is helpful for you guys. Okay, good. And by the way, I just mentioned, there's one more thing we're going to go through. I have one more secret to share. And then I'm going to get on the phone with some of you guys live. I'll put you on speakerphone so everyone can hear. And we're going to talk about some of your businesses. Cool? Nicole says, I need you after this, though. Okay, got it. So that's actually really nice. Let's do a quick recap of what we've learned thus far. And it brings us really nicely what Nicole said, the secret number 3. So Secret number 1, you can create an app in just a few weeks by using code-free tools that use logic. Code-free tools that use logic. Secret number 2, the very first thing you should do is create an invisible app. An invisible app is just something that you deliver via SMS or email. You create a very simple version of your product. And you start generating revenue with that as you're working on the next version. And secret number 3, how to work with me to launch your startup idea. A couple of you guys have already mentioned in the chat that you're like, I need some help in getting this implemented. So question for you guys who are here, who wants to take this to the next level, like implement some of this stuff into your own business? Let me know in the chat if you want to get some of this stuff going. I run this really awesome program. It's called Apps Without Code Bootcamp. And pretty much what I did was I took all the stuff I wish I knew when I was getting started and I put it together for you guys, because I struggled for a couple of years in learning all of this stuff and discovering all these tools that were out here and figuring out not only what are the tools, but how do I take the tools and implement it into my business with my specific focus and my specific customers and like all that. So Apps Without Code Bootcamp tackles all those things, right? It's a chance for us to work together for a period of 2 months. And so there's personalized coaching, there's a bunch of video tutorials, and you have the community that you need to start getting your app users and making money. Cool? So question for you guys, let me know in the chat. What if you could get my help and launch your app business in the next 60 days? Type I'm in into the chat if you'd be in for that. I'm in. Or what if you could have weekly access to your own startup coach? Type I'm in into the chat if you would be in for having weekly access to your own startup coach. Or what if you could learn how to make your app a premium price point, like something that's not 99 cents, but instead something that's like $50 a month, so that all you would need would be like 170 signups to make $100,000 this year. Would you be in for that? I know a lot of you guys are like, yep, I'm in for that. Or what if you could learn how to build a wait list of 200 plus customers that are just waiting for you to get this thing done so that they can just be in the door, right? So Apps Without Code Bootcamp, this program, this coaching program that I put together, it's all about helping you finally build the app idea that you've been stalling on. So some of y'all have been working on your idea for a couple weeks, couple months, way too long. It's time to get this thing out into the world, right? A lot of you guys are in that boat. And it's also about getting a high quality app without spending tons of time or money or letting someone else move first and execute on your idea first, which literally sucks. It just sucks, right? So I want to walk you through the structure of the program just so you have some context on how this program works. So there's really 3 parts to it. Part 1 is the course. So this is the stuff that I was mentioning where there's all this stuff I wish I knew when I was getting started. So I put together a bunch of step-by-step video lessons, tutorials, templates, app guides, like all the stuff that you need to know for getting started is put in here. And we actually have a structure, and this is kind of how the structure works. So week 1, we're going to talk about pricing your app. Like how much should you charge people? Should it be 99 cents? Could it be $50 a month? If it were $50 a month, what will we need to add to it to make it a premium price point like that? I'll show you a bunch of things you can do there. Week 2, we're going to work on finding your perfect customers. For a lot of you guys, there are multiple different customers who are a good fit for what you're building. Like a couple different types of people would like this. But which are your perfect customers that are going to be ready to go immediately, right? So that's what we're going to do week 2. Week 3, we're going to pre-sell your app. What I mean by that is we're going to get people to sign up and pay for the app before you're even done building it. So that way, you know that you're exactly building the right things. So we're going to pre-sell your app in advance so you have some revenue coming in as you are building and finishing it. Then week 4, we're going to work on your website and your brand. Week 5, we're going to lock in some of your first paying customers. And then we're going to spend week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 actually building your app. Cool? So this is what the online part of the course looks like. And we're going to talk about the other parts in just a second, but this is what the online part of the course looks like. And there are all of these different sections and modules and all the stuff you need to know. It is not just about just building the app, but it's also about making money from the app, which again, those 2 things have to go hand in hand. Otherwise, like it's not helpful, right? So that's the first thing. Part 1 is the course. Part 2 is the community. This is my second favorite part of this experience. So for a lot of you guys, you know this already. Like being an entrepreneur or wanting to be an entrepreneur is super lonely. So for a lot of you guys, you just have like experience with people who have 9-to-5 jobs. Like that's who your family is, that's who's in your life, that's who's around you. People who only understand like a 9-to-5 lifestyle. And for a lot of you guys, like you've decided that you want something different for yourself. But there's a lot of people around you who just don't get that. Like they have no idea what you're talking about. They think you're crazy, right? So having a wolf pack of other successful entrepreneurs to support you is so critical. It can be super lonely as an entrepreneur, like extremely lonely. And so this is one of the posts in the community to give you a sense of what kind of stuff people are saying in here. Shara says, I'm about 90% to my launchable MVP. That's the first fancy version of her app. How about you guys? I was thinking we could all test out each other's apps in a working session before we actually go public to our audiences. Then we can troubleshoot on that call real time. Maybe we can do it Sunday hackathon style, right? So part 2 is the community. Part 3 is you get your own startup coach. So for me, this is the thing that like sets this program far and apart from anything else that you'll see. And for me, like this is the thing that makes this program so helpful is not only are you getting the course, but you're also getting your own startup coach. Like someone who can like, if you're going this way and going this direction, they can be like, no, you're going too far to the left. Go the other way, right? Someone who can help you and intervene when you have questions, when you're confused, when you're frustrated, when all these things pop up, you have your own startup coach to guide you through the process. And so this is Charisse. Charisse went through this program, had her own startup coach. She built a company called Nazaru, which is an online platform for sci-fi and comic fans. So Charisse, before bootcamp, she had been trying to hire other people to build her app for her. So she'd been trying to take that agency route that we were talking about. She'd been trying to hire individuals and big agents. She tried a couple different things. And she spent $9,000 trying to get people to build her app for her. But she still had no app and no customers. And she was super frustrated before she started bootcamp. A lot of you guys are also in this position. After bootcamp, she had a finished app. She had 20,000 customers using her app. And she was a finalist on the TV show Planet of the Apps, which some of you guys have seen. It has Gary Vaynerchuk and Jessica Alba, Gwyneth Paltrow, Will.i.am, etc. And it works kind of like Shark Tank. All right. So Charisse says, I got a professional developer and spent 9 months and almost $9,000 to get practically nothing. After joining Apps Without Code Bootcamp, within 2 hours, I had built the first model of my app myself. Right. Big difference from like 9 months of struggle to 2 hours getting the first version of her app up and running. So this is Ashley. Ashley runs a company called Safe Play, which is an app for schools to hire athletic trainers for their sporting games. So a lot of schools, when they have football games or soccer games, they're required to have an athletic trainer there on staff. So when Ashley started bootcamp, she just had an idea. Like she literally just had an idea. Since doing bootcamp, she has 50 customers. She's done $2,500 in revenue, but she did that all in 60 days. 60 days. So this is what Ashley's app looks like. This is the homepage. You can log in and create an account. And if you run a school or a sporting game, you can type in all the information for the shift for the athletic trainer you need to come. And then you can see all the confirmation and you can see which athletic trainer you got matched with for your game. Right? This is what her platform does. And Ashley said, I personally cannot function successfully without structure, even if that means it will cost me money. So from killing it in the gym with CrossFit to joining Apps Without Code Bootcamp, I do much better when I have a set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with. I know this is also me, by the way. Like, y'all should know this about me. I have to put myself into a lot of accountability groups. I have a mastermind group that I meet with on Monday. I have another group that I meet with on Thursday, because otherwise, like, I'm doing all sorts of stuff, and it just keeps me focused, right? Like, I have a clear roadmap and an accountability group to check in with. This is Ashley's example. I want to give you one more example. This is Brittany, and Brittany runs a company called Mobidocs. So Brittany built an app for pharmaceutical companies to report drug side effects to the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration. So before bootcamp, she has spent $30,000 trying to hire people to build her app for her, and she still had no app and no customers. After bootcamp, she had a finished app. She had 2 customers, but for her, these are large contracts. So these are $20,000 size contracts for her to customers. So this is all to show you kind of the structure. Part 1 is the course. All the step-by-step video lessons, tutorials is like all the stuff I wish I knew when I was starting that I just put together for you guys so that you know. And you don't have to start from scratch and be scrambling around. Part 2 is the community, this wolf pack of other successful entrepreneurs to support you. Part 3 is getting your own startup coach to work with. Cool? So this program is for a lot of folks. For a lot of folks, it's not a good fit. But for many of you, you are not here by accident. So this course is really good for subject matter experts, people who know a particular space really well, and they can see that there's a gap there in the market that they think they can fill, right? It's for people who know the value of mentorship. Maybe you personally have seen someone who got mentored, or you yourself have been mentored at some point, and you can clearly see from point A to point B the amount of like difference that that's had for that person or for yourself. It's for people who have a burning app idea, like you literally cannot stop thinking about this thing. And it's for people who are super driven and just willing to do the work, right? So there's Apps Without Code Bootcamp. And actually what I do is I often do this training in Silicon Valley for existing startups, more established startups. And I charge them $10,000 when I do this training. I'm not going to charge y'all $10,000. But when I do this training for existing established startups, I charge them $10,000 to start. And a lot of you guys, like a lot of folks have been commenting in the chat or kind of saying some things to me in email before this. So folks have been saying, hey, Tara, I've been hearing about bootcamp. I'm really interested in doing bootcamp, but I don't have a bunch of money to spend like on launching this company or like any of this stuff. So when you invest in bootcamp today, you're going to get, I'm actually going to do some couple things to kind of help alleviate some of the startup costs for you. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. You will likely use Wix.com to build your website. You don't have to use Wix.com, but many of you guys will use Wix.com to build your website, to start getting your wait list of customers, getting people signed on and going. So when you invest in bootcamp today, I'm going to pay for your Wix.com costs for 3 months. So that's just going to get covered. You don't have to worry about it. Right? So with free immediate access to Wix, you can have your website set up this afternoon, by tomorrow, and you're not Googling how to create a website, what to put on the website. Like all of that stuff is covered. You're not begging your techie best friends. You're not wasting $20,000 getting someone to build a website for you. You're not doing any of that stuff. Right? So there's Apps Without Code Bootcamp. And then also I'm going to pay your bills for your website costs for 3 months to just make stuff a little bit easier for you. Cool? So the other thing that I hear people say is they're like, hey, Tara, I really want to do bootcamp, but I'm worried because I think my app idea is going to be complicated. Like there's a lot of complicated things I want to be able to do. I need algorithms and I need to be able to calculate a bunch of things and do all these fancy things, the API connections. So also when you invest in bootcamp today, I'm going to give you guys this other thing, which is this advanced app guide. So with the advanced app guide, you can integrate all sorts of fancy stuff. You can integrate APIs. You can build sophisticated databases, all sorts of stuff like that. Now, some of you guys will use the advanced app guide now because there's immediately advanced stuff you want to do. And for other of you, you are not ready to do advanced stuff, but you're going to hold on to this for when you are, right? And so with the advanced app guide, again, you're not spending $20,000 trying to get people to figure out how to do fancy stuff. You're not posting desperately in groups trying to get people to help you. You have the exact step-by-steps that you need to do the advanced stuff. Cool? There's Apps Without Code Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. I'm also going to include that advanced app guide, which just kind of gives you all the fancy footwork. And for context, I use that advanced app guide myself to get that $300,000 investment that I mentioned to you guys earlier. Josh, who has the app for schools, he made his first $30,000 in revenue using that advanced app guide. Patrick used that advanced app guide to build his app for Coca-Cola. So literally that advanced app guide is like money. And I like to be team no excuses. There's a lot of reasons why all this stuff becomes difficult, right? Launching a company becomes difficult. And really what I've put together, I'm super proud of this program, guys. I'm super proud of it because it gets people from like A to Z very quickly. Cool? So the last thing that I often hear folks say is like, hey, Tara, I really want to do bootcamp. I'm super interested, but I'm worried about doing all of the sales and the marketing part. Like I'm really excited to build the actual app, but the whole part about like sales and marketing and getting customers, like I'm not excited about that. I don't even know where to start, right? Like a lot of you guys, you let me know in the chat if you were in this boat. A lot of you guys are in this boat. So last thing, when you invest in bootcamp today, what I'm going to give you as well is a 7-day email list builder. So what this is it's all of the email marketing templates that you can use for finding new customers. So it's like, what do I put in the subject line? What do I say in the email? What do I say when they respond? When do I follow up? Is it after 3 days or after 4 days? What do I say? All those things. And so you're not begging your marketing friends. You're not spending a bunch of money on Facebook ads, which you should not be doing yet at this stage. You're not racking your brain trying to be the best copywriter and content writer, writing a bunch of things. You're not doing any of that, right? So there's After That Code Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide for all the fancy footwork, and then the 7-day email list builder, which is all the marketing stuff that you need to know. Cool? So usually when I do this program, when I'm training other companies in Silicon Valley, I start my pricing at $10,000 when I work with them. If you are going to go and hire someone to build an app for you, you're going to look at least $20,000 for them to do that. But if After That Code Bootcamp helped you refine your app idea to something that's like a premium price point, right? So that you only need 170 customers to make $100,000 this year, would it be worth it? Yes. Or if After That Code Bootcamp helped you build an audience and a wait list of customers who are like down the road waiting for your business to open up, would it be worth it? Yes. If After That Code Bootcamp helped you get a weekly access to your own startup coach so that when you're veering a little bit too far off and you don't even know it, you get some more direction and get course corrected, would it be worth it? Yeah. And if After That Code Bootcamp helped you not waste $10,000, $20,000 on developers or marketers or whatever it might be that a lot of people end up spending money on trying to get this stuff started, would it be worth it? Yes, because you'd have a fully up and running business like many of the entrepreneurs that I work with do. So a couple people are asking about price. I'm going to talk about that in 1 second. Before I get to that, I like to be super transparent and say that I have a refund guarantee. So if you sign up for bootcamp, you're really excited about it, you do the work, and you're not happy with the course, after 7 days, I'm happy to give you your money back. Cool? Okay. So After That Code Bootcamp, usually when I work with other people, or if you have somebody build this for you, it's going to be somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000. I put together this really awesome program that I'm super proud of and like the results that folks get. And so it's $1,900, or you can split that up into 6 monthly payments of $394. So you can do the one-time payment, or you can split that up into 6 months. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually put a link in the chat so that you guys have the link to this to check it out. Putting it in here right now. Cool. And also you can go to join.appstothatcode.com and grab it as well. Can you guys see that link that I just posted in there for you? Yes. Okay, cool. Or you can go to, let me type this in, join.appstothatcode.com. Okay, one more thing that I want to tell you, and then I'm going to get on the phone with some of you guys and we'll talk through your businesses and your ideas. Cool? All right. The last thing I want to show you, let me go full screen one more time. Cool. And start getting ready with your questions because I'm going to give a couple people a call and you can type stuff in as well if you don't want me to give you a call. Cool. All right. So again, what we're going to do in bootcamp is you're going to build the first version of your app. And also you're going to learn a process for getting your first 100 customers. Like that's what we're going to be focused on to start. So you know they say the early bird gets the worm. You guys have heard this before. So there's 2 additional bonuses that I have for you guys that I want to tell you about. So the first one is that when you pay in full, so it's $1,900, or you can split it up into monthly payments. If you do the full payment, so if you pay in full, I have a bonus for you. And that bonus is a 10% discount. So it's $1,900, but with a 10% discount, it's like $1,710, something like that. That 10% discount only applies to the full payment, not the payment plan. But there's a 10% discount when you pay in full as well. So there's After That Code Bootcamp, and pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide, the 7-day email list builder, plus a 10% discount when you pay in full. And then also when you pay in full, there's one other bonus I have for you, so the second bonus. And that is we're going to do a 2-hour live session together. So during this 2-hour live session, we're going to set up your app business plan. Set up your app business plan. So what we're going to do is we're going to implement the exact system that I personally use to launch apps, to get 200 plus people on the wait list, and make $10K a month of that first kickoff month as a result. So we're going to research your perfect customers. We're going to determine how much you should charge them, like how much should this be. I'm going to explore with you 3 different ways you can charge $50 a month plus for your app. There's a couple different ways we can do that. And we're also going to outline your email and social media marketing plan. So that's what we're going to do together in the 2-hour live session. So after that code bootcamp, I'm going to pay for your website cost for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide, the email list builder, and then if you pay in full, there's a 10% discount in the live session with me. Cool? Amber says we need this ASAP. I would love to work with you guys. So if you guys want to have access to those bonuses that I just mentioned, you can use the code FAST10 in that link that I gave you. So go to join.afterthatcode.com and type in FAST10 when you sign up. I actually have a couple people, both Jay and Thomas, both signed up just now. I have a couple people who are just signing up. Really excited to work with you guys both. Jay and Thomas, tell me in the chat like why you guys decided to sign up. That would be helpful. Cool? And I'm excited to work with a lot of you guys. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some questions now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just talk to you guys. And I'm going to take any questions that you guys have. So let me know if you guys have questions in the chat, or you can post your phone number and I can give some of you guys a call. Anuj, am I saying your name right? Anuj said, what if after we launch the app, some other giant gets an idea and gives you competition? What do we do about that? Oh, this is such a good question. I love this question. So here's how to think about this. For some reason in tech, people think that there can only be one of something. But that's not true. Like, there's no other industry that thinks that. Like, imagine Pepsi being like, we can't launch because Coca-Cola already exists. Or imagine somebody being like, I can't launch a bakery because there's already bakery in New York City, right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So what you want to do is you want to identify your specific niche. The way that you beat competitors, big or small, is you go after a specific niche. Many of you guys are trying to make your app idea for everyone in the world, but that's not how most companies start. If you look at Facebook, we see Facebook as this global company, but when Facebook launched, it was literally just for people who went to Harvard, which is a total of 4,000 people in the entire world who could use it, right? If you look at a lot of other sites, Uber launched in one city. So you want to pick a specific niche, and I'm happy to get on the phone with you and talk that through what your niche is going to be. That's how you beat competitors, right? That's how it happens. Cool. Both Bev and Angelina had questions about copywriting or trademarking your app. So I actually recommend that you do this after you get a little bit of traction on it. After you've made your first few $1,000s, then move forward, and you can do that with lawyers. I don't recommend you do it before that because you don't even know yet if, like, what this is going to be. I recommend you get some traction first, and then you've got a little bit of wiggle room to pay lawyers. Now, there are a bunch of really awesome programs, and we'll talk about this more in bootcamp. There are a bunch of really awesome programs for early stage companies where they cover all of your legal fees. So I recommend you get a little bit of traction with your business and then work with one of those programs so that you have your free legal fees covered. Cool. Okay, Ron says mine will have a niche users that all other companies are looking over. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, let me give somebody a call. I'm going to call Amber first. So if I'm giving you guys a call, do me a favor and put your computer on mute. I'm going to put the person who's on the call on speakerphone, but if I'm calling you, put your computer on mute because otherwise there's this weird background noise and it sounds funny to everyone else. So Amber, I'm giving you a call now.
Hello.
Hey Amber, you picked up fast. How are you?
Very excited.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So I want to hear first a little bit about what you're working on just so that we can talk about it. And I'm actually going to put this up onto the screen so you can see it as well. But my first,
okay, am I going to be live?
Yeah. So for clarity, folks can hear you right now.
Okay.
But it's going to be really helpful because you probably have a lot of the same questions or same thought process that they do. So question for you. Who's your target customer? Like, who do you want to go after as your customer?
I guess right now, my business partner and I, as you've seen, we've been communicating.
I love it.
We're kind of going after a more specific group of people, but I don't know how to say it. It's a very intimate type of conversation that's taking place. So it's definitely very tailored to people who are searching us out, and not just something that's of convenience for an entire population of people.
Can you tell me who those people are? Is it a sensitive like just tell me who is your
Sure.
customer?
It's it's basically I'm trying to say something without saying too much, but it basically has to do with health and fitness, as well as how that ties into self-esteem and sexual intimacy.
Okay, got it. So your customer is someone who's had some experience with sexual assault, some experience with they're trying to figure out sexual intimacy. Like it's easier for us if we're just speak specific. So then I can actually help you with the business.
Okay, so it's actually more about positive self-esteem building and things that have to do with intimacy and personal relationships.
Got it. So your customer is a 12-year-old girl who, like, I need to know more. Who's the customer?
Older. This would be more for adults.
Got it. And by the way, I'm being dramatic so that I give you something else. Like, no, not that. Okay, great. So adults, how old are they?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How old are they? What's the age range? Because something you build for a 19-year-old or a 27-year-old is going to be different than what you build for a 50-year-old. So who's the target age you're going after?
I would say, anywhere from 18 to 50.
Okay, great. I do not recommend you do that. Imagine us building a website for an 18-year-old versus a 50-year-old. It's going to be so hard to get them to sign up on the same website that it's going to drain a lot of your time and energy doing that. So this is kind of what we're talking about going niche. I think it's actually useful for everyone to hear this too. Like, you want to go really specific. If you had to pick an age group to go after, it was like a 10-year span age group, what would you pick?
I would probably choose, maybe 28 to 38.
Got it, 28 to 38. And is this for women?
Men or women.
Okay, great. If you had to choose a focus for men or women, what would you choose?
Women.
Got it. Okay, great. So women who are in that age group, and tell me more about the woman who needs this.
Busy woman who kind of forgets to focus on some of her needs because she's so busy taking care of everybody else.
Okay, got it. So I recommend that as much as you can, you get really specific. Like working professionals that are in this age group that work in publication. Because then we can go and find those customers on the internet and exactly get them to sign up. If it's really big, we have no idea where to get them.
Okay.
If that makes sense. But yeah, this is good. Okay, good. What question do you have for me?
Okay, so my question is, as far as your boot camp goes,
yeah.
So like I said, I have a business partner. We're both developing this app together. So what we want to know is how would we do your boot camp together at the same time, so we're both getting the same information and the same, you know what I mean?
Yes. No, it makes a lot of sense. So the question is, if I'm working with a partner, how can I do boot camp with them? So you definitely can. You guys can sign up once. And both of you guys can go through the program. You guys will likely share a login, but you can both come to your class. We both come to the kickoff class. I recommend one of you be kind of like the main person who gets the coaching as the point of contact for the coach, but you guys both can be there.
Okay, that's awesome. And I think you're amazing. I just want to throw that out there really quick. This is very informative, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like what you're working on, and I'm excited to help you launch this.
Okay, very cool.
So this is the first. Yeah, of course. This is the first of many conversations. We'll talk some more.
Yes, we will. We will definitely be taking part in this.
Have a good one. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Let me see. Tiffany, I'm going to give you a call next. Give me 1 second. So Tiffany, when I call you, mute your computer so that there's not the background noise. And what I want everyone to do, like as you're listening, I hope that you guys are able to glean nuggets from how I'm coaching other folks. So for example, we were just talking about target customer, figuring out how to get very specific. I was asking a series of questions that helped her get specific. Ask yourself those questions too. Like as I'm talking to folks, I want you guys to be asking yourselves the same questions so you can kind of benefit from this coaching too. Cool. Okay. Tiffany, I'm giving you a call now.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me, Tiffany?
I can. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. And thank you for calling me.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what you're working on first. Who's your target customer?
My target customer is actually within education. I wanted to build an app that basically helps teachers deal with certain planning, lesson plans that align itself to teach
Got it.
or Common Core standards.
So, question for you: if you had to pick and this is again like what you want to get specific on, if you had to pick a type of teacher, what kind of teacher are you going after? First of all, what
I would want to go after teachers who have just initially started their teaching profession.
Got it.
So someone who's taught less than 10 years or 5 years.
Got it. Okay, less than 5 years, so they're early career teachers. And also, what are they teaching college or are they teaching kindergarten? What are they teaching?
I'm certified up to high school, but I think there's more of a demand front load, so elementary and then maybe eventually doing middle school.
Yeah, got it. That's great. By the way, when I tell you guys to like pick a specific target customer, that doesn't mean that's the only customer you can ever serve, but it's just like all of us have limited budgets for going or time to go after customers. And so if you go after just elementary, you can like perfect that as opposed to spreading yourself thin across all of them. Okay, cool. And what would you say is the worry sentence, Tiffany, that you're solving for them? So these teachers are saying, I'm worried that what?
My first year, it was really, the pedagogy of just teaching is really hard from book to real life.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with at-risk youth.
Yep.
And so I want my app to be able to help them deal with the planning, but also deal with some of the scenarios that will come into play.
Great. So in their words, they would say, I'm worried that what? Because you want to get really clear on the problem you're solving for them. So they would say, okay. I'm worried that what?
How would I handle a parent who's upset because of how I maybe redirected their child,
Can you put that into a I'm worried that sentence? So start your sentence with I'm worried that and say it from there.
Okay. I'm worried that I don't know how to handle a conference with a parent because of how I had to reprimand her child.
Got it. By the way, what happens if they poorly handle a scenario where they had to reprimand a child? What's the repercussion of that?
I've taught in 2 states in Texas. It just depends on the district. Sometimes, they like to escalate things to the superintendent or the Office of Professional Services.
Got it. I'm worried that I'm going to get fired?
I'm worried that I'm going to get fired.
Got it. I'm worried I'm going to get fired because I didn't handle this conflict situation very well. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, great. And what are teachers already spending money on or schools already spending money on to solve that worry? The worry that they may mess this up, these conflicts.
Right now, it's a niche. I don't see a lot of resources for that. So this is one of the things that I've thought about.
Okay. What are schools or teachers spending money on to keep themselves organized with just the logistics of each student account? By the way,
paying $25 a year, or I'm sorry, forgive me, because in Texas it's $119. The first year when you're newly certified teacher is $25, but after that, $119. Excuse me, a year for your union fees, and they help you with any,
got it.
Attorney fees or whatever. They'll represent you up to $1 million.
Got it. $119 a year is what folks pay for. Okay, got it.
But it's mostly a newsletter that you receive. It's not a lot of details every month, and it's not like something that's specific.
Yeah. By the way, I asked you what else they're spending money on, not because I want to know like if there's a competitor. I want to know what other related things they're spending money on, because that tells you how much you can charge. So how much are you planning on charging for your experience?
My goal is to find an app that can fit within a niche of like 60 to 70. I mean, teachers really don't make that much money, unfortunately. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to price it where it's out of the range, but I do want to price it fairly.
So my question to you, I have two questions for you. One,
Okay.
if people are willing to pay $119 a year, why not charge something around that? Because they're already paying that kind of amount. There's a willingness to pay. And also, think about this. Is your customer actually the teacher or is your customer the school?
Like,
who's going to hand you the money is your customer?
It would be the teacher. I mean, I guess I could, if I was large enough, then I could sell it to the district, I guess. I don't know. These are things I need to learn.
Okay,
Sarah.
cool. I would encourage you to look into that. You may have an easier time getting it may take slightly longer, but you may be able to get a larger contract size and have more impact by going after the school. Just a thought.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So much.
Any specific questions you have for me?
When you spoke about the invisible app,
Yes.
my fear of putting your heart and soul into something and starting it, and then someone coming in and being able to have access to that,
Yeah.
does it expose you?
What do you mean have access to it?
As far as your idea, like I also am working on a patent, and I don't, I have my application ready. I'm sending it out. I like the fact that it's like it's non-disclosure. No one knows what I'm doing.
So
there's app, am I exposed?
Are you exposed?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what you mean by exposed, but I want to do
what I'm planning to do.
Got it. I want to do a quick mindset shift for you. So here's what we're going to do in boot camp. On day 2, we're going to hit publish, and everyone in the world will see what you're working on. And it'll be scary as all crap, and it'll be great. You have to start putting stuff out there in the world in order to start making money from your company. You have to do it. When you build your company and you're trying to protect everything that no one knows, the thing never gets done or launched. So we're going to talk publicly about it because here's why. There's probably at least 100 other people out there who have the same exact app idea as you. They already have the idea. What's different about you is that you're on a workshop learning how you can actually take some next steps, and you're actually taking steps to do that, and they're sitting on the couch watching TV. That's the difference.
Got it.
So the difference is execution. And even if there is another competitor that launches that focuses on high schools, there are enough elementary schools in this country for you to make a lot of money.
Got it.
There are enough. Cool. So that's how I would think about this. Like, a lot of us get really scared to talk publicly about our idea, but then the company never gets launched, and it's counterproductive.
Okay,
good. So we'll keep talking about this, but this is a good kind of kickoff conversation.
Thank you.
Of course. Bye. So I see in the chat a couple questions. Lovna had a question. How important is it to get legal involved? Copyright or patent? Again, I encourage you guys to wait a little while until you're starting to generate some revenue before you do that. I wouldn't recommend spending a ton of time on copyright or patent. You don't need it. Wade said the absolute code 10% discount is FAST10. Yes, thank you, Wade. It's FAST10 to get that discount code and to do the 2-hour live session with me. Okay, Malika, I'm going to give you a call. Malika, mute your computer so it doesn't do the weird feedback thing. And I'll give you a call. This is fun, guys. Ron said, what state am I in? I live in Illinois. I'm from California.
Hello?
Hi, Malika. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is the first time I got on a live phone call.
I love it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what you're working on. Who's your target customer?
Okay, this is a fresh idea.
Okay.
My target customer is women who practice traditional faith.
Got it. Okay, when you say traditional faith, what do you mean?
The type of faith is African tradition.
Got it. Okay, great. And what is the worry sentence you're solving for them? So they're saying, I'm worried that what?
I'm worried that women in African tradition faith are not able to find a partner that practices the same tradition.
Got it. Can you reword that, but say it from their perspective as opposed to from yours? So your customer would say, "I'm worried that what?"
I'm worried that I'm saying I or they or the customer.
You're gonna say it from their perspective. So what you said was right. Just say it from their perspective, in their words. I'm worried that what? What would they say?
I'm worried that I won't be able to find a partner that practices the same traditional African faith as me.
Got it. And what's the impact of them? Like, what's the negative consequence if they don't find that?
That they will be alone.
Yeah, I'm worried I'm gonna be lonely. Got it.
Yeah.
By the way, like, these are things that sell apps and products and experiences. At the end of the day, there's like a fear or a concern or like something like that. Like, people are worried they're gonna be lonely. Okay, got it. Now we know like what we're doing here. All right. And what are people in this community already spending money on to solve the fact that they feel lonely in this in their worship?
Well, they're spending money on going to classes and meetings in the tradition, but they're not finding the partner.
Got it. How much are these classes and meetings, by the way?
It can range as little as 25 all the way up until 1,000. It depends on what it is.
Got it. So this is good for everyone who's listening. When you've got a big, question number 3, how do you know what are they already paying for? If you've got a big range between 25 and 1,000, that's a big range of what people are paying for. You want to ask yourself, what's the difference between the type of person who pays 25 versus the type of person who pays 1,000, and then go back to number 1 and think through who your target customer could be, who'd be more on the high end of that. So what's the difference between those two people?
Okay. Well, the first person, they might still be fairly new, so they might pay a lower fee, but the people who pay a higher fee, they understand a certain level of knowledge within the tradition.
Got it. They're not new.
Yeah.
They're not new.
Yeah.
Great. So this is really good. If you guys find yourself with a wide range on 3, go back to 1 and narrow it a little bit. So good. Let's go after people who are not newbies. We can go after newbies later, like a couple months down the road, but let's start with people who are not new because they already get it. Got it. And how much do you plan to charge?
I would say, I'm not too sure about that, but I would say if it's monthly, I think that maybe a $40.99 is reasonable for the working person.
$49 a month?
Yes.
Okay, got it. I think that makes sense, given that person is spending like $1,000 to go into a one-time event that's about in range. I think that makes sense. The reason I ask these questions in this sequence, by the way, is because a lot of us are thinking, oh, my app should be free or it should be 99 cents. And this lets you know, wait a minute, people are already spending money to solve this problem. Why would I make it 99 cents if they already are willing to pay? This is great. Okay, what big question do you have for me, or if you have one at all? Maybe we covered it.
That was my main question. Or what is the process of coming up with a good app idea in general?
Got it. I think you find a problem that you personally have a connection to. It doesn't mean you have to be the customer, but it's in a space or an industry you know well. I think that's really important. And then you ask yourself, do people already spend money trying to solve this? Maybe they don't have your app that they're spending money on to solve it, but they're doing something. Those are the 2 things that make a strong idea. Like, you know about the space. And number 2, people are already spending money on something. It's just not ideal.
Okay.
Cool. But I think this is a great idea, and I'd love to help you launch it. What I love about it is that it's niche and it's for a specific audience because you can just dominate that space.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tyra.
Of course. We'll talk some more, but this is our first conversation.
Okay, I look forward to it.
Okay. Bye-bye. There were a couple questions in the chat before I call some more people. So Charmaine says, does the Code Free Tool website own your product? Ooh, okay. So when you build your app on one of these code-free sites, do they own your app or your product? That is such a good question. Let me explain how this works. It works much like if you were a writer, you were an author, and you wrote books, and you went to your computer and you opened up Microsoft Word, and you started typing your book, right? Microsoft does not own your book. You just use their tool to make your book. You have 100% ownership of the book. Using these code-free tools works exactly the same way. You still own the app. You're just using their tool to help you build it. Cool? Makes sense? Allison says, I'm listening online with no number. You have an established business, multiple tech app ideas. Oh, yeah. Awesome. I love working with a lot of different kinds of entrepreneurs, but those of you who have established businesses, it's really interesting because we can build on top of an existing foundation and help you get more scale. Nicole says, can you still get paid to do free apps? Can you still get paid to do free apps? So the answer is yes and no. I would not recommend that anyone here launches a free app. I don't think you should do it. Here's why. If you launch a free app, usually what you're doing is you're hoping that you'll be able to make money from advertising, right? The way that advertising works is you go to a company and you say, hey, company, you should pay me money, and in exchange, I'll put your brand in front of my big, huge audience, right? That's what advertising is. You go to them and say, I'll put your brand in front of my big, huge audience. The problem is you don't have a big, huge audience yet. You just don't have one yet. And so when there are a couple different types of business models, and we're going to talk about this on day one of bootcamp, what all these business models are to make sure your plan lines up to the kind of life you want to live as an entrepreneur. Like that's super important to make sure this lines up the kind of life you want to live as an entrepreneur. So if you build a free app, it means that you're going to be broke for about 2 to 3 years. And then after that, you're making a gamble that you'll be able to make money from advertising. You can take a look at some other companies that do this. Facebook is one example of a company that's done this successfully. They made their app free to everyone, and they made a gamble that they were going to make money on advertising. Facebook is the exception, not the rule. If you look at Twitter, for example, Twitter did the same thing. They built a free platform, and they made a gamble that people would want to advertise. Well, Twitter's having an extremely difficult time getting the advertisers that they want. So I would not recommend you do free apps. It's like making a long-term bet, and 3 years down the road, you'll know if that bet paid off, but you've got to put in 3 years of the same amount of hard work and be broke. I'd rather you not be broke during that time and then have a different business model during that time period and then add ads after that, which you can totally do and just not be broke. Cool. Summer says, awesome webinar. I'll be talking to you soon at bootcamp. Awesome, Summer. Excited to work with you. Awesome. Brian says, are you interested in partnering with someone on their app idea if you find realistic and worth a minimal amount of your time? So I actually don't partner with people on their app ideas because you'll get the same exact experience of that through bootcamp, of me kind of giving that feedback or getting a coach's feedback on all of those things. And also I don't partner with folks because I want you guys to keep all of your equity in your company. I don't want to ask for any percents of your company. Shamari says, thank you for providing so much clarity. Oh, yay. I'm glad. Cool. Edward said, what if the service of your app is free, but licensing the use of it to big companies is actually the premium customer? Edward, I think that's brilliant. Cut the free part. The free part is going to be a bunch of customers emailing you. I can't figure out how to click the button. It's going to be a whole thing that you have to support. Just go after the premium. Like, switch your order. Go after the premium first. Lock in your dollars. Establish a dominance in that market. And then a year later, introduce the free thing. Where people like to do the free thing and then do it later on, the paid, but it doesn't make any sense because then what happens is people, when you introduce the free thing later, when you introduce the paid thing later, people go, wait a minute, I thought this was free, and they're mad. If you do the paid thing, the premium experience first, and then you add cool free things, people are grateful. So that's how that structure works a lot better for you. Brett says, how long is the program being offered for? I'm broke currently, but I'm going to work towards the 6 months for $394. So you guys have until Sunday to make a decision on bootcamp. Actually, I can show you this on the calendar. Today's Wednesday. You have Sunday to make a final decision on this. But there's a couple fast action bonuses that are available for folks if you're ready to sign up. Amberson's got to sign off. Awesome. We look forward to working with you. Have a wonderful night. Excited to work with you too, Amber. Got it. I'm laughing at Allison's blurry background here for my kids. Well done. Okay, cool. Edward, type your phone number into the chat. Riza also asked, Riza, am I saying your name right? Riza? Tell me how to spell your name. I think it's say your name. It's important for me to say people's names right. Cool. Let me give Edward a call. And I may have time for one more, and then we're going to wrap up. But type your questions into if you had other questions. But I'm giving, if you're just, a couple people are just joining, I'm giving people phone calls. We just wrapped up, but I'm going to talk to people about their ideas and putting them on speakerphone. Edward, make sure you mute your computer.
Your call cannot be completed at this time. Please try.
Let's see, Edward, let me make sure I got your number right. Maybe that was my fault. Hold on. No. Dude, what happened? Edward, I just tried to call you. What happened? Okay. Do you see success with people using phases for your app? Monty said. Yes, absolutely. So we're going to actually do a version 1 and a version 2. So we're going to phase it out for sure. The reason is because like there's going to be kind of 3 most important actions that you need to take that your customers need to be able to take in your experience. So there's like 3 specific actions that are required. For example, on Facebook, if there were only 3 functions, it would be follow friends, post updates, and like posts from friends. If you only do 3 things on Facebook, that would do it, right? So we're going to launch version 1 with just the necessities. And then version 2 we'll get feedback from customers and we'll add more cool stuff. Cool. Okay. Marcus said we'd be working directly with you during boot camp. So it's a great question. The coaches that I have on my team, there's myself and also a handful of coaches. I coach some of the classes. So for example, we have a class that's starting in a couple weeks. I'm going to be coaching that one. There's also the class after that. I brought in my coach, like the person who coaches me is going to be coaching you guys. Either way, you guys are working with like top tier entrepreneurs. But yes. Cool. All right. Okay, Edward, I'm going to give you a call. John Mark had a question. Can we sign up anytime? So the deadline for signing up is Sunday. Sunday is the deadline. You have a couple days to kind of think this through. You can check out the website. And also, if you guys have questions and we're not able to talk about them live right now, please shoot me an email. The way you can do that is just reply to the last email that I sent you. That'll come directly to me. Or my colleague Taylor, who's also here, will be helping as well. So either we'll hear from myself or Taylor. Taylor also works on my team. And we'll be helping you and answering questions directly. So Edward, let me give you a call again. Let's try again. I missed your call. What?
Your call cannot be completed at this.
What happened, Edward? I got your call. Call me back, Edward. Have you be the last call? Okay, let me see. Did I miss any other questions? Type your question in if you have anything remaining. I'm gonna do one more call, one more call and answer a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up. Reza says, are we gonna post this video somewhere in case we missed it due to like a connection? So let me do this. If you guys give me until tomorrow morning, I can process the replay and then send it to you. Edward.
Good evening. I don't know what in the world's going on.
So weird. Okay, well, I'm glad we got it figured out. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Yourself? Thank you so much for the call.
Oh yeah, it's fun for me.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about what you're working on. Who's your target customer?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just had. I'm like, no, that's not the concept. All right. So basically, I am a relationship coach and counselor, a holistic relationship coach and counselor. With that, I've created a simulation that actually teaches people how to self-coach and counsel themselves through their dating, relationship, and marriage problems.
Cool.
So with that, my ultimate customer would be licensing it to, for one, dating sites, because what they're doing is they're being successful at bringing people together, but they're not being successful at retaining the couple that they're bringing together.
Okay.
So I want to license this out to them, but through my social network, allow people to actually utilize the simulation for free. So the actual people will use it for free, and the actual people that have to pay premium, like coaches and counselors who will use that for their coaching and counseling, they have to pay the premium.
Got it.
To use it as a actual form of or tool to assist in their coaching and counseling.
So question for you. Why
Yes,
have two sides? Like, why create double the work for yourself of having two different types of businesses, one that's directly for individuals and one that's for the counselors?
Because my long term goal is to allow for the people that are using the actual program to get it for free and utilize it, and for the actual companies to market me as, or the actual simulation as, a valuable tool. And by the time they do that, when the people migrate to my free social network, I will unlock a vault that allows those people to date or choose their person that they're dating, because I would have created a actual platform that has vetted out the people that will link them together. So they won't realize that they're validating the quality of the tool, but they can't take away that they validated after they've already used it under their platform.
So here's what I'd love for you to think about. Like, sometimes we think about you have an entire roadmap of what you want to do with this, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, most certainly.
And the one thing I just want
it's
to
also a board game form, which I would charge the customers who use the simulation for free to pay the $200 for the actual board game.
Got it. So the one thing I recommend you do is think about your plan on a roadmap, which means not everything should get done right now at first. So you may.
I know, that's why I typed in that this is helpful. Yes, painful. Yeah, painful, because I literally had 10,000 already in the MVP aspect of the app from people in Pakistan that are about to actually launch it next month.
Yeah.
That's why this has been a painful process.
Yeah, no, I totally
watching
get it.
this video.
And also what's painful is like narrowing down what you want to do. To something that you can start with and actually get the traction you want on. Here's what I would do if I were you, and you can like take or leave some of this. What I would do if I were you is I would license this to individual practices, not to dating apps. Like, I wouldn't license this to like Tinder and Bumble or Match.com. I wouldn't go there. I would go after individual matchmakers and relationship coaches. I would go there. People have individual practices, right? Now, you're familiar with that space, right?
Most certainly.
What do people charge?
The actual individual coaches and counselors, they're doing sessions. So it kind of ranges depending on the coach. But you're looking at about $3,000 for maybe 6 weeks of actual coaching and counseling.
Got it. And how many people might one person be working with at a time? I know it'll range, but a practice would have how many people they're working with?
Well, at this point, because I do the same thing, they're pushing away from actually working one-on-one, and they're charging higher premiums for the direct consultations, but they're recording the actual trainings from the other people so that they can sell it in lower packages to relieve themselves of the one-on-one. Does that make sense?
Give me a sense of, for the one-on-one, how many people might they be working with? I'm just trying to get a sense of how much money.
Maybe seven people at a time.
Okay, got it. So that $3,000 across 7 people, maybe we got like $20,000 a month that's coming in from this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So if I were you, what I would do is I would license a white label app to them. So a white label app, you may already know this, but a white label app is an app where you take your logo off and put their logo on. White label apps are great because you can charge a boatload more for them. So you can have packages that say, if you have up to 7 customers, this is package 1. For up to 20 customers, this is package 2. And up to 50 clients, this is package 3, right? For these people who are trying to scale. And you get access to this for your entire client base. It's going to be branded with your own branding and information. You can choose a color, whatever it might be, and you get your own kind of customized app. Now, the downside to doing this is that it's less sexy. If you have your own app that has all of your own users, it's a sexy thing to do. Everybody knows your name's in lights, but you make less money. If you license and white label to people, you make far, far more money. Like, I think these contracts your lowest package should start at like $5,000 a month.
Okay.
And your numbers end up stacking, and maybe $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And we can tackle all these things, these challenges that they have about scaling up their business and doing this automated. Can all be part of the app. We have to listen to what they say they want, but we can piece it all together. And then you're looking at large contract subscriptions, and then you have the money to do free projects and have other things that come out of this. But there's an order and a process to it. We should spend 6 months getting that first part really on the ground so that you're, for each client, getting $3,000 to $5,000 a month, and then we'll go on and expand to the free stuff.
So what do I do with my 10 grand in my Envy whatever product? Now I'm like, this is why this is painful. This is what I mean by painful.
Yeah.
So do I flush that down the toilet and?
So you're saying you've already invested $10K into your first version of your app.
I'm literally 30 days away from the first version of my app, which is going to be the simulation where people can literally play the game. If you go to noloveinc.com, you can literally see the concept and all that stuff.
Here's what I'd love for you to do. Here's what I'd love for you to do. Continue your plan to launch it. Do you already have a list of people that you're launching it to, or you're just going to make it public?
No, I was going to make it public on iOS and Android.
Okay, great. So here's what's going to happen. I can tell you in advance because I've seen this happen a lot. You're going to launch it, and there's going to be far fewer people using it than you expected because you have to put together a whole marketing scheme for this. But that's good. The people who find it are going to give you some feedback on it. It's going to be great. And then I would love to work with you to take the same exact product and license it to organizations so you're making or practices so you're making real money from it. And we may decide to take down the availability of it publicly for everyone because you're just going to make so much more money putting it behind a paywall for your customers.
Okay.
Cool. Nice.
I appreciate that.
We'll talk more about this, but I'm excited to talk to you, and it's cool to hear that you've gotten some stuff going. You will not be the only person in bootcamp, by the way, who's done that. People are at various stages in their journey. And some people have version 1 already up and running, but they're like, I got to make money from this.
I needed this call to make the decision. This helped me make the decision. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So excited to work with you. We'll talk soon.
All right, bye. Take care.
Okay. Jean-Marc said, do I just reply to the email that you've been contacting us in order to reach you? Yeah. So just reply to the last email I sent. Give me later on this evening or in the morning to respond to you, but yes. Cool. All right. Do we have time to do a couple more calls? Maybe 2 more? Do we have time for that? Are you guys okay with that? Okay. Let's do 2 more. Okay. Wait. I saw Tiffany had a question. How long is the boot camp? It's a really good question. So the program structure in terms of us doing formal stuff together is 2 months. However, you have limitless access to every week on Tuesday. I come on and I do Q&As. So you can come and bring whatever question. Like, let's say it's a couple months down the road. You've already made your first $30,000. You've got customers in it. You're getting feedback, but you have a question about something, or you're not sure how to think about something, or how to plan the next step. You just come to the Q&A and I help you. So Bootcamp is 12-week structure. However, you get continued access to the community and to the Q&As. Okay. All right. I think we have time for a little more. Okay, hold on. Somebody was asking earlier. Miata I'm gonna give you a call next. We're gonna call essentially until my phone's about to die. So if I hang up on one of y'all, it's not because I'm being rude. I'm sorry. I have this problem with charging my phone. I never charge it, and then it always runs out of battery. Maybe I'm using it too much. I don't know. Maybe it's because I have an iPhone and they have terrible battery life, something like that.
Hello?
Hi, this is Tara Reid. How are you?
How are you? Thank you for calling.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what you're working on. Who's your target customer?
Okay, I started this because my grandmother was in a nursing home and I used to take care of her. And as nobody could get to her to bring food or bring water, so I started food shopping service. So I already have the app. It's on Google. I'm waiting for Apple to get back to me with. It's already in process already.
Yes, great.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just said great. I was listening for more.
Yeah, and well, when I first started, I got ripped off. Oh my God, I really cried. But the app is already on Google.
Okay.
I'm just with my Apple. It's the grocery shopping app. So we do we go grocery shopping, pick up laundry, we drop it off, and yeah.
Okay,
so
great.
Go ahead.
So what is the big question that you have for me then?
Okay. I'm having problems getting people to come on the app. Yeah.
Got it.
I'm having problems downloading it and stuff like that.
Got it. And when you say problems, do you mean like technical problems, like they technically can't download it, or do you mean more marketing?
No, it's actually marketing.
Yeah.
But my main idea was to get in contact with the stores with Stop and Shop. Stop and Shop has a grocery service and they charge a lot. So I dropped my price and not to charge a lot, but we can go up to 3 different stores, like grocery shopping, pick up your laundry, and also go pick up food at restaurants. So I put all 3 into one app.
Okay, got it. So let me ask you a question, because I think you said this, but maybe repeat this for me. Who's your specific target customer that you're going to go after that's like the niche customer?
My target customers are people who are busy moms, busy people who's working a lot, like people in the 30s and also in the 20s. But I also want to talk to people who are older because they also cannot get out.
Okay, great. So this is usually the number one marketing kind of mistake or challenge I see people make. And the first thing is they're trying to go after a lot of different people. And it ends up just spreading you too thin. If you had to pick one specific group of those groups, you said busy moms, working professionals, and also old folks who are older, which of those 3 would you pick to start with?
Busy mom.
Busy moms. Okay, great. And by the way, when you say busy, what do you mean? Like, tell me more about that. Do they work a job? Or are they stay-at-home moms? Tell me more about that.
They're busy. They have to go food shopping. They can't get out.
Got it.
And
I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of busy moms out there. Let's even go more specific and go after a specific kind of busy mom because it will make our marketing a lot easier.
Okay.
By the way, this is painful for most entrepreneurs to do, so I appreciate you working through this with me. To take your vision, which you see as something for everyone, and to narrow it down is usually very painful for entrepreneurs to do. So I get that. If you had to go after, like, tell me a specific type of busy mom we can go after.
Okay, I have a friend of mine. She has 3 kids,
Okay.
and she goes to 3 different stores to go food shopping.
Okay.
And one day I stayed with her. It drove me crazy. I was just like, she said, I can't get things in one store. I have to go up to different stores. So I was just like, that's crazy. Why would you want to do that?
So
She said, because everything doesn't have it in one store.
got it. So what we want to go for here when you're defining your target customer, we want to go for things that we're going to be able to identify the customer with. So what I mean by that is it's going to be very hard for us to find a bunch of people who go to 3 stores. Like, we're not going to know until we talk to them. But what we can do is say we're going to go after busy moms who work a professional job and work in this industry, because we can go find them on LinkedIn, for example.
Okay.
So I recommend that, just my encouragement to you, we'll do more of this work together, is to get very specific on your target customer. It makes the rest of the work extraordinarily more easy. And what we're going to do the second day of boot camp is we're going to put together a database of your customers. I'm going to show you how to find where they are, and we're going to reach out to them and tell them about your app.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Okay, do I have to pay the same amount because I already have the app already out?
Yeah, absolutely. So whether you have the first, there will be other people who have the first version too. In fact, what I usually find is that it's harder for the coaches and myself to work with folks who already have a first version of their app. It takes more work with you guys because you're really married to what you already got. And if customers give some feedback on it, it's hard to like undo or do different things. So yes, you'll find the entire program super, super helpful. There are people in there who have apps that have generated over $100,000 when they started. And they were like, I need to grow this. I need to figure out how a process in place for doing my marketing and doing the next version of the app without having to pay a bunch more money again. So you'll find a lot of value in the marketing part of the program, and you'll also find a lot of value in the building part of the program, because you're going to get feedback on this version of the app. And then for you, you're going to want to make some updates based on the feedback, except you're probably going to have to pay someone else again to do that. And I don't want you to have to keep dishing out money to make updates to your app. I want you to be able to do it yourself for a while so that you can cut costs and actually just keep your money that you make.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So it's about like learning the process for what you're going to do next as the next step in this. So cool.
Okay.
I love what you're doing. It sounds great. I think we got to niche down your customer, and then we can go after them and start directly communicating with them. And I'll give you all the scripts of like what to say, how to convert them. We'll work through all of that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. So we'll continue talking. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Okay, that is the last call that I'm going to do. If I did not get a chance to talk to you, I apologize. If you have additional questions, please shoot me an email. The way you can do that is you can just reply to the last email I sent you. Like, that's simple. Just reply to the last email and we'll start talking. Cool? You'll either hear from me or you may hear back if I ask her to respond. My colleague Taylor, who works on my team, who's amazing as well. Cool? All right. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful evening. Again, just a couple things. Join.appswithoutcode.com. There's a couple fast bonuses. I'll put this back in the chat. Withoutcode.com. This is this website to sign up. The code is FAST10 for those fast action bonuses of getting the 10% discount and also the live 2-hour session with me. And we will talk soon. If you have additional questions, shoot me an email. Okay, cool. Have a really good evening, guys. Bye-bye.